So today we're going to start with this topic, modulus and conjugate of the chapter complex number. So what is modulus? So first let's discuss about modulus. So modulus is nothing but the distance of we don't want to go to that because we haven't learned Argand plane. So modulus, just take it as like this. So suppose z is a plus ib. Suppose z is a complex number which is given by a plus ib. Then modulus is denoted by mod of z, like this. Modulus, this is known as modulus of a complex number. So that is given by square root of a square plus b square. Now why we are getting to this, I will just tell you after teaching you about Argand plane, but for the moment just remember this one. The formula of modulus is root over of a square plus b square. This is what modulus is. So let me do one example. Suppose we have z is equal to minus 1 plus 2i. This is my z. Now somebody asks you to find out the modulus of z. So what you will do? So mod z will be root over of minus 1 whole square plus, you will not take I will take b. I will not take ib whole square, I will take b whole square, that is 2. So 2 whole square. So it gives us 1 plus 4, that is equal to root 5. So you can directly say that the modulus of z is root 5. Now the next thing is conjugate. So what is conjugate? The next topic. So conjugate basically means is, suppose I have a complex number a plus ib, then the conjugate of z is what? It is z bar. The conjugate of a complex number is denoted by z bar, and that is equal to a minus ib. It is given by a minus ib. That's the conjugate of a complex number. Now let me do one example of this one. So here basically what happens is that the thing which I will do is the imaginary part. You see, in the complex number, the sign before the imaginary part is plus. It's changed into minus in case of conjugate. Suppose I have a complex number that is given by minus 2 plus 3i. So the conjugate of this complex number will be, it will be minus 2 minus 3i. So basically the sign of the imaginary part will change. Then nothing will happen to the real part. The sign of the imaginary part will change. Let me do another one. Suppose my z is given by minus 2i. This is my z. So the conjugate will be, it will be just 2i, like this. Okay. Now there is one important thing. The important thing is that if I do z into z bar, so what happens? Suppose I am doing z into z bar. So if you look at it carefully, we are getting a plus ib into a minus ib. So z is a plus ib and z bar is a minus ib. So z into z bar is this thing. So basically what you see is that a plus b into a minus b. And when you look at into that, we will just remember our algebraic formula, that is a square minus b square. So I write here a square minus ib whole square, this formula. So we get here a square, and this one is what? I square is what? Minus 1. So minus minus becomes plus, we get b square. So z into z bar we are getting as a square plus b square, and we have already seen a square b square somewhere. Where is that? You look at here, it is square root of a square b square. So can I write this one as square root of a square plus b square whole square? So this becomes what? Mod of z bar whole square. This becomes, this square root of a square plus b square is what? Mod z, right? So I will write this one as mod z whole square. So this is what we got. Okay, this is a very very important formula. Z into z bar is equal to mod z whole square. That's the formula for conjugate. Now there are some various properties which we must remember. The first property goes like this: z1 z2, that might be equal to z1 modulus of z1 into modulus of z2. This is one of the properties. Then we have another one, that is z1 by z2. It can be separated and written z1 divided by z2, or we have, this is one, this is another one. And for the conjugate also there is something similar to this conjugate. So z1 z2 bar is equal to z1 bar into z2 bar. Then we have z1 by z2 whole bar is equal to z1 bar divided by z2 bar. This is what we have, right? Now these are the different properties which you must remember. Acha, now this is what modulus and conjugate is all about. Now we are moving into the second part, that is Argand plane. So what is Argand plane? Now obviously you must be very much aware of XY plane. My next topic is Argand plane. So we are very much aware of XY plane. So in XY plane what we see is that this horizontal axis is the x-axis and here we have the y-axis. Okay, so every point on this XY plane denotes a coordinate. So here, suppose here the point is 1, 1. So it means what? 1, 1 signifies the x value is 1 and the y value is 1. Now what is Argand plane? Now Argand plane is a plane in which all the complex numbers are plotted. So I will be plotting all the complex numbers on the plane. Now how will I plot? Now Argand plane looks like this one. This is what XY plane. This is XY plane. So what is Argand plane? So Argand plane is like this. So in Argand plane what we have? We have the x-axis as the real axis. It is the real axis, and the y-axis acts as the imaginary axis. The y-axis acts as the imaginary axis. Okay, now I know that the complex number is given by a plus ib. Every complex number can be expressed in the form of a plus ib, right? So this a signifies what? The real part, and this b, just the b, not ib, this b signifies the imaginary part. Okay, so if I say that REZ, the real part of Z, you will write that is equal to A, and IMZ, you will write that equal to B, not IB, it will be B. So imaginary part is B. So when I have to plot a complex number like this in a real axis, what I will do? So the real part is A. So in that, this is origin. So in the real axis, I will mark where is A. Suppose my A is 2. So I will mark here. So this is my point. Just like x value is 1, so I mark here at 1. So here we have A. Now the imaginary part, the part is B, so here I will mark B. So the point is what? This is my point. So this is my A comma B. So that's how we plot different complex, we can plot complex numbers in the Argand plane. Suppose I have a complex number that is minus 2 plus 4i. Suppose I have a complex number like this. Now how will I plot in this Argand plane? So what I will do, I have 0. Now minus 2 means what? The real part is negative, so it will go this side. So it will be in the left hand side. So I will have minus 2 in here, and plus 4. The imaginary part is plus 4. So I have 4 in here. So the point will be minus 2 comma 4. So minus 2 comma 4. That's how we plot complex numbers on an Argand plane. Okay, so Argand plane is a plane in which various complex numbers can be plotted. Okay, now I told you before that I will discuss about that modulus after doing Argand plane, right? So let us go to the discussion of modulus. Now I told you what? That in an Argand plane the complex numbers are plotted. So here we have real and here we have imaginary. Suppose I have a complex number z that is a plus ib. So if I have to plot this one in Argand plane, so what I will do, I have this point here, it is A comma B, right? So this is the point Z. This is the point, it signifies the complex number in the Argand plane. Now what is modulus of Z? Modulus of Z is nothing but the distance of the point from the origin. Modulus of Z is nothing but the distance of the point from the origin. That is what modulus is all about. So this red line, so this distance is modulus. Now listen very carefully. We have learned distance formula in our lower classes. And by using distance formula, we used to find the distance between 2 points. So here the 2 points are A comma B and 0 comma 0. So let us apply distance formula and find the length of the red line. So it will be equal to what? Root over of A minus 0 whole square plus B minus 0 whole square, and that is equal to what? Root over of A square plus B square. So that's is the significance of modulus. You see, so modulus is nothing but the distance of the complex number or the complex point, the point from the origin. Okay, if you plot the complex number on the Argand plane, so it is nothing but the distance of that point from the origin is the modulus of that complex number. Okay, so this is what we have learned about modulus, a conjugate and Argand plane. Now the next topic is polar representation. So what is polar representation of a complex number? Now this is very important topic. So let us go through this one. Yeah. So polar representation is like this. So let me just plot the diagram again. So suppose I have this one as real axis and this one as imaginary axis. So what we are doing, the next topic is polar representation of a complex number. So we are doing this thing, polar representation of a complex number. So I have an Argand plane. So in that Argand plane we have real axis and imaginary axis. So I will plot a complex number A plus IB. Why am I taking A plus IB every single time? Because A plus IB is the general complex number. So I will do what? I will take a point in here and I will mark A comma B. Okay. Now after marking that point A comma B, what I will do is, just in here we have the origin, and I will draw a straight line from the origin to this point A comma B. Now if you have this blue straight line, it makes a certain angle with this real axis. Yes, it makes a certain angle with this real axis. So I will signify that angle to be theta. What angle it is making with the real axis, I will signify that angle to be theta. And the modulus of Z and the distance of the point AB from the origin, we already know it is mod Z, but we will be signifying it as R. Why we are signifying it as R? Because we are doing it as polar representation of a complex number. So when we do polar representation, we have to signify that length, the length of the blue line as R. We know that it is modulus of Z, but we have to signify it to be R. Okay. So now how to represent that point A comma B in polar representation? Now listen very carefully. What I will do is, I will draw a perpendicular from the point AB on the real axis. Now if I draw a perpendicular, you look at carefully, this is nothing, we already discussed that this length, the length of the real axis is A, the length of the real axis is A, and this length is our B, right? So basically we can see a right angle triangle is formed where the hypotenuse is R, the perpendicular is B, and the base is A. So these are the things, and here the angle is theta. So a hypotenuse triangle is right angle triangle is formed. Now once a right angle triangle is formed, so we can say that the AB point we can express in terms of sine theta and cos theta. So let us see what is sine theta equal to. So sine theta is equal to, it is what, perpendicular by base, perpendicular by hypotenuse. So it is what, B by R, right? So by using this one, we can write therefore b is equal to r sin theta, and we have the cos theta is equal to what? Cos theta is equal to a by r, and therefore a is equal to r cos theta. So what we see is that we can replace a and b, the points a and b, with r cos theta and r sin theta. We have easily replaced the point a and b as r cos theta and r sin theta. So now we can write the complex number z as r cos theta plus I r sin theta. We can write this thing. Now you see, this is the polar representation of the complex number. This is the polar representation of the complex number. Okay, r cos theta plus I r sin theta. This is how we represent any complex number that is a plus ib form in polar form. So this is r cos theta, a is equal to r cos theta, where a is equal to r cos theta and b is equal to r sin theta. That is how we represent a complex number in polar form. So we already know how to find r. We know how to find r. So r is nothing but it is modulus, right? So r is nothing but root over of a square plus b square, because it is the length of the point, it is the distance of the point from the origin. So it is just modulus of z. So we know how to find r. And how do we find that angle? We will just discuss by doing some problems. Now before going into problems, I will just tell you one important thing. This angle theta, it has a name. This angle theta is known as argument of z. This r is known as what? So write down this one. R is known as what? R is known as modulus of z, and that angle theta is known as argument of z. Argument of z. So these are the two important things you have to remember. Okay. Now another thing, the principal argument. What is the principal argument? Now if you look at this coordinate axis, if you look at the Argand plane carefully, what is the maximum angle we can see? The maximum angle we can see is, it's starting from 0 and it's going to and ending at 2 pi. It's 0 to, it's almost 360 degree. So the angle varies from 0 to 2 pi, right? But what I will do in here, for the principal argument, the principal argument is what? The principal argument is not 0 to 2 pi. The principal argument is 0 to pi, okay, and from here to minus phi. So basically the principal argument is minus pi, theta, and here we have pi. This is my principal argument. So why we are getting minus pi? The minus pi, you know that angle, when it rotates around clockwise direction, we will get a minus of the angle, right? So anti-clockwise direction of, so positive direction of x-axis is what? Anti-clockwise direction, right? So basically the minus sign we are getting as, let me just do one diagram. Wait a second. Let me just do one small diagram in here. Yeah. So here what I was talking about, so 2 pi is what? I am starting from 0 degree. So 2 pi is basically, I have started from the positive direction of x-axis, and this is my 2 pi. Okay. 0 to 2 pi is this one. Now I am saying that the principal argument is minus pi to pi. Now how do we get this thing? We get this thing by doing this one. Look at here. We get this thing by, I have 0 from 0 from 0 to pi is this one. So this is my complete 0 to pi. Another one is 0 to minus pi. I will take clockwise direction also. So one is our 0 to pi and the other one is our 0 to minus pi. Okay. So the principal argument is minus pi to pi. So always we will be trying to find the principal argument other than the main argument, that is 0 to 2 pi. Okay, now let's start doing some problems. Let's start with some problems. Okay, what we have in here is